Welcome to Voices in Hyperspace, where friends get together and discuss all things sci-fi. Right now, we're going over the hit 90s soap opera Babylon 5.
I'm Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Captain Melisarva.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday.
Today we are looking at Season 3, Episode 7, entitled Exogenesis. This is one of those episodes where I said I was tempted to call it a filler. Because it brings Season 3 to like a crawl. It's so slow. There are virtually no alien characters. It's very human-centric, but none of the human characters change. Captain Sherrod is barely in this show.
This one was a breather.
And the greatest human in the galaxy, Dr. Franklin, he's in it, but he's not being Dr. Franklin. He's just kind of like a regular old person. He didn't shoot up. He didn't snort nothing. He's just, he's just being a regular person. Speaking of regular people, what did y'all think of Garibaldi in this episode?
Garibaldi just being a regular old cop, not doing nothing, getting paid just to wear the uniform, Hated it.
Who do you think had the easiest time filming this episode? Sheridan, Ivanova, Franklin, Garibaldi?
Sheridan? Yeah, because he wasn't there. Freaking true time off.
He showed up for the party and gave Ivanova an order. And he showed up at the end to get her input. And all he had to do was sit there and he didn't say nothing.
They didn't even talk to each other. They just nodded.
They just kind of looked at each other like, he didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, so with all of that, there are some fun things to explore here. And I'm going to go ahead, we can go ahead and spoil some stuff in here. The way that I saw the episode, it's like they're telling a story, but they're throwing all these different red herrings and curveballs at you. And if I had to say this centered around any character, it was Markus.
This got his own episode this time.
And you got to see two actors that came up in the theater act so hard in their scene together. But we'll get to that momentarily. The things that I think the episode was asking questions, it's asking questions about like, what are our assumptions about seeing some of these alien species and what their potential objectives are? Because we're introduced to an alien that seems to be nefarious. We also are asked questions about loyalty. Ivanova is attempting to vet Corwin to see, like, is he going to be good for the conspiracy of light? And if you remember Corwin, he's the big statuesque but childlike lieutenant on the CNC. That was remember on that episode Now for a Word, where he's talking about nobody has a problem with anyone, and Ivanova is like staring daggers through the back of his head, making sure he doesn't mess up. Yeah. Franklin is part of an investigation. And honestly, while it does make sense that Franklin would be interested in this, he honestly comes across as like kind of thrown into it. Not necessary for it, but it's like, we'll just make it a Franklin thing,
Mm-hmm. Well, and he got manipulated into it a little bit.
Coerced.
Yeah. He thought that Garibaldi was backing him up.
Garibaldi, that dude took the day off or something. I don't know.
Well, didn't Markus tell him that that Garibaldi knew where they were? That Garibaldi told them to check it out? That's why when they were locked up, he told him, well, at least if we're missing for too long, Garibaldi will come after us. And he's like, he don't know where we are. He's like, I thought he knew where.
So, yeah, Garibaldi insisted that Markus goes to see Franklin, but he didn't say that he was actually going to do it. Franklin was being very creative about the type of information that he was sharing. So we got two lurkers that are viewing the arrival of a transport. They're over there in the docking bay, and they're like, oh, finally they're here. We quickly switch and see that in a bar, and I forgot the name of the bar. It's like the bar for military personnel. And they're basically celebrating Lieutenant Corwin's promotion. And they're all happy about that, and it's all cool. It's all good. Garibaldi and Franklin are having an obnoxious back and forth. And I thought this part was a little weird. Garibaldi is asking, "Where's Marcus?" And they're all like, "Hey, well, we don't know Marcus very well, but also this place is only for military, so it makes sense for him to not be here." And I'm like, why would Garibaldi care if he was there or not? I just thought it was a slightly out of place question. Like, I don't feel like anything would have been changed or important if they left that part out. So I'll just leave that alone.
Unless they're trying to show that he's like jealous or something. Because I mean, technically, Marcus does his job better than he does.
Oh yes, and we see that in this episode. So,
and that's what people do when they're jealous of something. They always got to mention the person that they're jealous of.
Yeah. Yep. And have back and forth conflicts with him. But
oh well, he ain't here.
Right.
That's what that was like.
But anyway, we see that, and then we switch to those lurkers again, and down below, and there is a person who is clearly in distress. In distress down below. He looks like he is being murdered to death, and the other two are watching, kind of like not
passively.
Yeah, they're very passive. They're just like, oh yeah,
It'll be okay. I think this was a missed opportunity for a conversation in consent.
I think, though,
it comes later.
Yeah, it comes later because they wanted to show, like, hey, there are these weird people putting some shit on people, and it's killing them. And so we're supposed to look at those people as the bad guys.
If we know that, then we don't have to be as invested, and there's not as much suspense when we find them, and then get to find out at the end. That's the point, to find out at the end.
Yeah,
they try to drag us.
Right, they're pulling us along. This is another reason why I think that the episode is just a little weird.
Did the guy know before he got the alien on his back that he could die?
Unclear.
So
unclear.
I don't think they did a toxic report before. You would think if they were that ancient and that knowing of everything in the universe, they would like having a record of what type of chemicals they can mix with. But Franklin did say that they were compatible with every living species, but not chemicals. They would know that. They would. This would be they should know that there's a test, but that would be thinking too far into things. And it also doesn't give Franklin an opportunity to explore the body. But they could have even put you in a different way. Go ahead.
So the people who did join seamlessly with the aliens, like, were they given the choice? That's what I'm curious about. Is anybody been given an option to do this?
Yeah, they all volunteered. That's what they were telling Franklin at the end, because that was Franklin's first question.
In fact, Franklin the whole time was like, they're controlling you, they're taking over you, and they're like, oh, no, they're not. And they weren't doing it forcefully either. They was just kind of like, nah, bro, you're just wrong. I don't know.
And that's why Marcus's friend, his parasite, went ahead and extracted himself so that he could talk directly to Marcus and learn that Marcus really wanted that.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm not being controlled anymore, and I'm still saying the same thing. So.
Yep. And then, unfortunately, I won't be able to get it back. So, thank you for ruining my life. Also, like, there's some other things too. So for this to be a more of a fanciful sci-fi story, a what if, it does lead you to think, like, what happens with this information that Franklin and the B5 crew get. Like, okay, we know that there's this, they keep saying parasite, but I'm gonna say symbiote. Like, um there appears to be a mutual benefit to the host and the creature. And then they also have a mission that the host has to agree to. So,
we're calling it parasite because Franklin did.
Yeah.
Which means he's judging. Like, until I know what it is, it's a parasite.
Yeah.
And then when I learn what it is, then it can be symbiote.
All right. We're gonna let's go ahead and move it. The two lurkers, they're surprised that the guy died from the parasite, and they're like, "Yo, this ain't good. Let's get out of here so we can't get captured." So there's a dead guy in down below. CNC Sheridan pulls Ivanova over to him and is like, "Hey, let's talk in private." And he's like, "Look, now that Corwin has been promoted, he's going to be all up in our business. So maybe we can recruit him to our side." And Ivanova's like, "Okay, I'll see what I can do. And I'll just want you to know that I hate this part." And I felt like one of y'all said something about Ivanova, but her like, she's not good with people, right? Yeah, correct. She's not good with people, but she's number one. That's her job. And she's got to do the dirty work. And I would say this time the dirty work is to see if this kid is like got his head on straight, or do we need to like look at him with the side eye? So it's not the worst thing in the world.
Oh.
I mean, besides Duncan, he finally has a name. He's got parts. He's going to be there for a little while, apparently. So
yeah, it was kind of like with him and Marcus that this episode was kind of like weaving them into a more main character role.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Marcus, we get to see him interact with another character named Duncan. This I thought was really interesting. First off, that character, the character Duncan, they're having like this little banter back and forth, and I think they're talking about the play Macbeth because Marcus is waking him up. And
but he said it was a Dutch play, right?
Maybe I'm misremembering what he said.
Could be.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's good. I'm trying to find who is. There he is. So, the traitor, his name is Donald Willis, which, honestly, after seeing this episode and doing my research, I feel a little bit sad. This actor has been in like several movies, and they were older, but he's played like little bit parts. When you see him on the screen acting, this is probably like the biggest thing that he's done, like, for real. And he looks old, so I try to figure out, like, okay, so is he alive? Did he die? I there's no information. It's just he did these few things, and that's all we got. But so Marcus is visiting Duncan on the markets. Sleep, for some reason, apparently he's not selling very well. And they have their back and forth reference battle with plays. And then Duncan starts coughing and he's all sick and stuff. And Marcus is like, "Why don't you go get that checked out?" And Duncan is like, "Nah, I don't like doctors. I ain't going nowhere." And also, this is what we found out too. Remember how we were talking about Marcus is better than Garibaldi? This is Marcus having a conversation and treating one of his contacts like a human being, like a person with a life. Marcus cares about his well-being. He doesn't just want the information; he wants the person to do well, and that gives Marcus points over Garibaldi because Garibaldi don't care.
It's nice to have so many different representations of the populace, like being anti-medical establishment, even though this is being based like in the future and they should have better technologies and things. It's just like, there's still not a sense of, safety or security or, compassion in that matter to where they have gained like more trust from the populace that the medical procedures that they have are really a good idea. And that's not something that I see in other sci-fi. It's like everybody's ready to run to the med lab and, have the wand waved over their broken arm.
Well, and in this one, we still working with capitalism. And that's like one of the main things that corrupts medicine, like the opportunity to take advantage of people.
It makes, now that you mentioned the whole one waving the wand, because I know in Star Trek they like can mend stuff in seconds. Can they even do that in Babylon 5? I'm wondering. I wonder what the medical technology is like. Anyway.
Because what were we saying about her needing to take pain pills? And
who?
Because they rarely ever.
Ivanova.
It was Ivanova.
It was Ivanova, yeah. Yeah, because she had her Drazi fall on her foot. In Med Lab, Franklin is doing a briefing. They're talking about all the people that died on the station.
Yeah, that was an interesting meeting.
Let's have a death meeting. I guess they have to. I mean, they have to talk about all the bodies they found.
But
and they have to discuss how people die so they know something new's not killing them.
Right. Something about bite marks. I'm guessing some Nard got a hold of some Centauri. I don't know.
Yeesh. All I remember was a couple of stabbings. Like, it's, commonplace for people to be getting stabbed up.
Yeah. But then they find the body of the lurker who was trying to bond with the parasite, and they're like, well, there's no obvious cause. Franklin's like, bring his body to medbay, we'll check it out. This dude then got super interested. He don't need no stems. All he needs is the hyper focus. That's where he's getting his dopamine. So what we see after this is Marcus. This dude is he's at a bar and he's talking to his contacts one by one. They're all they're eager to talk to him too. And they're talking about how Ranger 1, whoever that might be, cryptic hint, wants the Rangers to pull back from Earth space due to all of the escalating tensions. He also mentions that they've seen a shadow vessel. So now people are aware, but this is part of the network. And whatever package that he has coming is going to be on Mars eventually. So he's this bro is working. And then he gives information back. He's like, okay, check this out. When y'all go to sector 800, send out a probe, get out without being seen. We need to know what's going on. Okay, cool. He's doing his job. That's 2 for Marcus, 0 for Garrison. And what he finds out is that one of his contacts named Samuel isn't there. He's like, what's going on with this guy? I'm like, we don't know. He just didn't show. And what Marcus does is he goes and tries to find Samuel, finds him down below with a group of people standing very weirdly in a corridor. And they look at Marcus like they ready to throw down and beat him up. And Marcus is like, hey, Samuel, I noticed I haven't seen you in a couple of days. How things are going? And Samuel's like, I can't work for you anymore. And this is where Marcus just kind of backs off. He's like, okay, you know what? It's more of y'all than me. Something ain't right. Let me get out of here. Which they had that cult eye. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? They had that look. They had that look of I'm not gonna say it on this podcast. They just had the look. They had the look. Flashing back, Franklin he starts to examine that body. He finds that there's a thing wrapped around this guy's spine, and he's like, "Oh, well." He's rubbing his hands together. He's like, "Well, I just have no choice but to operate on this guy's dead body now." So let's figure out what this anomaly is.
Oh, well, I'd have to learn new things. Whatever shall I do? I'm already so smart. How can I get smarter?
Ah, shucks. It looks like I have to cut this guy open. Oh, man. I was looking forward to dancing tonight. Never mind that. I'm going to stay up all night cutting open a human being. uh, so he finds a biomass of basically it's the alien, the parasite. And he pulls it out and he like puts it in a cup and he's all like, okay, cool, I got this thing. What we see while that's happening is Samuel, our good old friend, is watching over another victim being bonded with the parasite. And it is none other than Marcus's friend Duncan. And now we're wondering like, what is going on in this episode? Or you could be wondering like, oh, so they showed this new dude just to watch him die? Okay.
That's what I think every time I see a new character. In the 90s, they did that a lot. The main characters never died. And if we need somebody to die, we just bring on a whole new person for this one episode.
Oh, hi. Granted, you've only seen me for one episode, but we've been friends for 30 years.
Well, and the way they were talking about the play, I was like, he gonna die.
Oh, yeah. I know, right? He's over there hacking up a lung. Yeah. But yeah, we see that Duncan is being bonded with the parasite, and this is where we're like, okay, this thing has nefarious goals. So Franklin, after finding the biomass on the station, this is where we start to speculate about what the parasitic organism is. He says that it remains a responsiveness even after the host's death, and this is where we find out all that other information that is biologically neutral. Which that's a weird term, but like you said, they can bond with like almost anything.
They're biologically water.
Yeah, or maybe is mainly made up of stem cells and can turn into whatever it needs to bond. Yeah, any of those things. And then Franklin is over there. He's trying to find out where this thing came from. In the meantime, Marcus is baffled why his friend Duncan is just gone. He's asking the people down in the market, like, where did he go? Like, oh, he didn't show up today. Which, I mean, yeah. But at the same time, who are those people? Who's this black lady he's talking to?
Wasn't she like she sells beside him, right?
Right. These are people who do pop-ups. So like, okay, hey, Ken and Tom, you gotta do pop-ups and vendor tables on Babylon 5 to make money.
Yeah.
And they called that one because that's like, I don't disparage anybody that does that, but for a lot of businesses, that's how they get their start. And for some businesses, because they don't want like brick and mortar and overhead, like that's how they survive. There's like, let me get on these event schedules so I can sell some things. Duncan was selling some bullshit though. Like what was he selling?
Random where you can get all the plastic. Speaking of that, there's a guy near me near my grocery store that has a trailer on the back of a truck where he does haircuts.
See, they're mobile haircuts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But he just parked in like between the Walmart and the Food Line.
Mobile is the way to go.
That's how you gotta do it. You gotta get into that niche to where it's like people value you coming to them. Not like Marcus though. They do with sleep. He didn't sell shit. Not that day. Elsewhere, Ivanova, she does her invite to Corwin, and it's like, hey, we haven't really spoken to each other. And like we spend a lot of time together, so we should get to know each other. And Corwin is on like schoolboy freaking out, like what? And he's like, okay, yeah, maybe we'll do breakfast. And she's like, nah, we won't be able to have a private conversation with all that noise. Why don't we do a dinner? Why don't you come to my place? That sounds very foreign, don't it?
For coffee.
For sure.
Yeah. So, all right, both of y'all, please inform me Is it easy to mistake that type of invitation?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the way she was doing it too, like she's being awkward about it. So, like, if it was just business, she would know how to do it. But her being social about it was not going to work.
And there is a lack of directness in society. I am learning more through the understandings of the difference between neurotypical and neurodivergent, that there's like a whole like assumption culture that people are really into, just like assuming, like, no, be direct, say what you mean. And then when you ask me a question and I give you an answer, don't ask the same question again using different words. Like, I said what I said. I meant it the first time. I wasn't confused, not slow.
All right.
I understood what you said.
I'm gonna interject you right there too, because in my experience, when I hear things, I'm like, this could mean 7 different things. And I ask a question, and then the answer is like, that could still mean 7 different things. So I'll ask like clarifying questions, or I'll make clarifying statements. There was one time, this is years ago, I asked somebody out, and they're like, yeah, we'll go out to the movies. I'm like, as a date. And she's like, oh, no. And she told me why. It wasn't like, I mean, it was still a rejection, but it wasn't like, anyway. But but it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be ambiguous. Yeah. So, and I'm also on the neurodivergent side of things. Sometimes I hear things and I'm like, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you just said. So let me see if I can get some clarity. But we talked about that a long time. He's freaking out, and so he wants to like. He's thinking like, oh, this is a date, and he goes to a vendor that sells flowers, and he spends 40 credits on some roses, some artificial roses. 40 bucks.
And then lies about it.
Yeah. Well, like you said, asking clarifying questions, he had a really easy clarifying question. Should I wear my uniform?
Ah.
And that would have answered his question. Oh, no, probably not. And also, her saying coffee, I have to remember in context. Like,
Luke Cage.
Coffee, like, coffee is rare. Like, only elites can have coffee, apparently.
Yep.
But, like, I don't know. I saw a comedian maybe a decade or 2 ago who was talking about, like, after a date, they got offered coffee. This may have been a Seinfeld thing. And they got offered coffee. And they're like, do you know what coffee means? Coffee means sex. You go out and it's late at night and they offer you coffee. It means they don't want you to get up. But the guy, it was Seinfeld. And he was like, oh, no, I can't have coffee. That'll keep me up. And he was like, that was the point. Supposed to give money. That's what that means. It's like, on the other hand, it's like, I got this rare, expensive drink for you.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more weird. Yeah. It makes it sound even more like a date.
Well, here's the thing, though. There are cultures where, like, you have coffee with dinner because it helps. Apparently, it aids with the digestion, but also helps calm you down. And I get that, but I'm not drinking coffee. I don't like coffee. That stuff is nasty to me.
I have an ex that's ADHD, and he said that he drinks coffee in order to wind down at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, because one of my things is like an energy drink, about 100 grams of caffeine, same as coffee, just not the bitterness. When I have my first energy drink of the day, which is around noon, that puts me to sleep. It makes me so drowsy, and I understand why. It's about what's going on in the brain and stuff like that. I know it's supposed to energize other people, but yeah, it puts us to sleep. So So I have to be careful.
Yeah, it cuts off. Well, let's not go into the science of how caffeine works.
Yeah, well, another time. So,
Yeah.
what's going on now is Duncan is very upset about the disappearance of his friend without any reason. So he goes and he talks to Garibaldi about it. And Garibaldi is just over there just brushing him off, which this is why I said what Garibaldi was doing this episode is weird, because at first it's like, oh, hey, where's Marcus? He should be here at the celebration. And now when Marcus is there, he's like, nah, Marcus, you ain't got shit to worry about. No crime was committed. I ain't doing shit today. Today's my day off.
Look, I can't help you because you were at the party.
Oh, did he hurt Garibaldi's feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Garibaldi's only friend is a war criminal, and the guy that he wants to be friends with, this very attractive Englishman, doesn't want to hang around him unless he wants something. Poor Garibaldi.
And I really feel like the way he was asking about him was like, oh, why isn't he here?
Probably jealous about how I think that guy's got a crush on Ivanova.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they all know.
Yeah, and Garibaldi has absolutely no chance with Ivanova, and so that probably makes him feel some kind of way.
Or Garibaldi's asking for the sake of Ivanova, just to kind of annoy her. Like, oh, hey, everybody's here. Ivanova, where's Marcus? Don't you know where he is? Because remember last episode, hey, Ivanova, your favorite person in the whole wide universe is calling. Yeah. But this part kind of got me pretty upset, because Marcus is like, hey, there's people disappearing down below and it's not normal. And Garibaldi is like, if they were normal people, they wouldn't live in down below. And I'm like, y'all live on this station, you know what's going on. That was a stupid thing to say.
And apparently Marcus had the same feeling.
That monologue was great though, where he's pestering Garibaldi to do his job.
And he's comparing it to like Old English.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hang up from the gallows and we carried out. I'm like, are they right or wrong? No, just hang over the gallows.
Like, oh, oof. I like this part because it shows how Marcus quickly knows how to social engineer people to do exactly what he wants. He gets Garibaldi's cooperation, but Garibaldi's like, hey, you know what? Go talk to Franklin. That'll probably be a good idea. And so he runs down and talks to Franklin, and he's talking about Duncan's disappearance. And this I thought was like pretty weird, because they go to Duncan's quarters and Franklin's like, hey, I can look, but I can't go in. I don't have clearance. And Marcus just opens the door because he got skills like that. Which that's 4 for Marcus, 0 for Garibaldi. And they go into his quarters, lights her out, and they find out like there's this weird spiderweb stuff on the wall, and it's like a hole in the wall. And they go through the hole and they find another person behind that space, like suffering. And this is like really, really strange. Like, how do you burrow a hole in the wall? Those bulkheads are like metal.
Maybe an acid?
Maybe some sort of corrosive. They're over the guy, and they're interrupted by Mr. Samuel and Samuel's friend Matthew, who detains them with weapons drawn. So they're in down below, captured in a cage, and no weapons. This is where Franklin is like, well, it's a good thing Garibaldi knows where we are. And Marcus is like, yeah, about that. Here's the thing. Nobody knows where we are.
Ain't told nobody shit. I want them to mind that damn motherfucking business.
I was like, you working with a spy. Of course you ain't telling nobody.
Right. So they're being held down below. During their date, Corin arrives at Ivanova's quarters. He's got the flowers that are expensive, and Ivanova's like, well, what the hell is that? And he's like, oh, these are flowers. So like, well, who left that? And he's like, oh, somebody just left them by the door. And she's like, huh, well, I guess it's a good thing you got him because what did she say? She says it's a good thing you got him because somebody would have walked off with him.
Yeah, with the lie about the flowers.
Yeah. And she immediately reveals, like, too bad because roses are my weakness. I get, and that adds to kind of the potential confusion, the absolute confusion of of what is going on with their interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I want to focus on this little interaction for a second. Ivanova is trying to have a ethics discussion. She's like testing Corwin with the conversation, and she's talking about, hey, sometimes you got to bend the rules to get what you want, right? Which I don't think that's a really good way to test things. That's kind of like a mafia type of question. Like,
especially when you're talking to a military officer and he's loyal to her.
Yes.
And scared of her.
Yes. They talk about the concepts of the ends justify the means, the importance of respecting the chain of command. Corwin, he's scared of her and he respects her, but he's talking about how he's loyal to Earth Alliance. And this is where Ivanova just like sighs and disappointment. She's like, shit, we can't really trust this dude. I let him all up in my house. I gave him my coffee and he's over here sounding like a Nazi. I don't know. Real quick, my question to you all. How do y'all think that Corwin is malleable like that? Do you think he's just do y'all think that he is a just following orders type of person?
I think he's been in the military since he was 17 and a half, and they got him right where they want him to be, and that he could likely have also like lived a life of, I don't want to call it convenience, but I don't think he had like a lot of hardship, and the society that he's protecting afforded him the life that he had. So with him not coming up against any adversity, he doesn't see anything wrong with the establishment and why we have to fight back against it.
Yeah. I was going to say that he's not experienced enough to understand what's going on around him.
Yeah, he definitely comes across as like, I have a career path in this and I am apolitical right now. But, who knows?
I'm just doing my job.
Yeah. We'll see more of him in future episodes and we'll kind of figure that out.
And you know what? He had an opportunity because we don't see him that much to actually like judge his personality, except for that one interview where he clearly lies. But he's lying to protect Ivanova.
Well, he's protecting
because he's scared of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, I can't say. And then like, we knew it was the interviewer's job to try to make Babylon 5 look bad. And he said things that would make Babylon 5 not look bad, regardless of how true they were. So the truth is, there are people that make them scared, but he couldn't tell them that because he didn't want Earth to say that Babylon 5 is a bad place. That's all we got to know about it.
It almost seemed like that was his job. He's kind of like the mascot, but now he's getting more stuff. So maybe this is adding dimensions to that character, and he'll start to fill out and become more three-dimensional as he has more feature time, more screen time.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now we're coming to the crux of the episode. So Duncan visits Marcus and Franklin, and he's explaining the whole thing about the parasite. It's an alien species called the Vendrizzi. Drizzy. And
you know what? The future sucks. We had these words back in the day, and it was like, alien. Now we have to associate everything with everything.
Yeah. We got this parasite known as Drizzy. Drizzy Drake. He's not like us. All right, let me stop that. So their purpose is to save lives, but they also are to preserve memories in the galaxy. And everyone who has one of them on them Everyone that hasn't been drizzy on them voluntarily bonded with them, and they agree with their goals. The dead man that Franklin dissected earlier was unable to merge due to having strange chemicals in his bloodstream. And that's where Franklin was talking about. He had all those drugs in him, like dust and all kinds of stuff. So, like, the dude died because, like, shoot, you fucked up. and Duncan asked, like, hey, you can help us in our situation. And Franklin is like, we can help you. You're being controlled by these things. There's like, the best way we can help you is to get it off of you. And Duncan sounds very like energetic, enthusiastic. Like, a way to look at it though is he still has that look in his eye, that cult look and sound to him. But it's like he finally has purpose in his life. And so he's trying to recruit Franklin and Marcus, basically. While they're in their prison, Marcus is asking Franklin about Ivanova's behavior towards him, and he's worried about, like, oh, maybe I offended her. And Franklin is like, oh no, I don't think you've offended her. It's just that you've been around more. You know, you're getting closer to the senior staff and the crew, and it'll just take time. And it's just one of those weird things where Franklin honestly doesn't know what he's talking about, or Franklin is doing a thing where he's like Garibaldi trying to set Ivanova up. Which, okay, I gotta ask y'all this: what is it with people trying to set other people up? Like, what's that?
Oh, do they think it's like good entertainment? Because like when you said that, it reminds me of like the Korean pop stars. Sometimes the industry will like put together this whole little persona where two of them are dating.
Oh God.
And it gives some publicity, and it's a marketing tactic. So they haven't had a lot of opportunity for romance, and especially if it's going to be a soap opera drama, somebody's got to be in some type of relationship, especially in the 90s. And they haven't had any recently. Like, who was the last person to be in an actual relationship?
All of them have tragic stories when it comes to romance.
They're all building up to it. Sheridan and Delenn.
Yes, but Sheridan's wife died.
Yeah, and then the other captain, he had a couple of girlfriends
that just disappeared.
Yeah, that we're professionals. We need to move on. I got what to do, but I still like you though. Bye.
Garibaldi. I was gonna say Garibaldi's woman in his life left him, but he left her.
He loved her, and then he on the ship being creepy with the psychic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Not the ship, the station.
And then Boomer, is that her name? Boomer. He was trying to be in a relationship with Boomer, and she dies. So zero.
We gotta set up something else.
0-3.
Yeah, they trying to set up Ivanova and
Marcus.
Because like she's the only human female left, and it's the 90s.
But then there was also Ivanova and the psychic that ended up being a triple agent, and then there was the psychic and her friend that turned into the universe. I don't know.
Irons.
So there's like
all
these little attempts at romance, but it's a war going on out here. Ain't nobody had time for that. Oh, and then they had the chick that was just like all about hookup culture, and she couldn't even get laid.
Who was that?
She was one of the military personnel.
Yeah, Boomer. Oh, yeah. I'm saying Boomer. I can't remember her actual name, but yeah, you're right. So yeah. Anyway, people hooking people up, trying to.
I think it's just because it was in the 90s. Because if they redid Blonde right now, it'd be on and popping.
Well, Ivanova would definitely be in a relationship with Talia. And Garibaldi would die because he'd be like, oh my God, another woman doesn't want me. So anyway, with all of that, this is when Matthew returns and he's demanding that Franklin treats one of the other hosts who is ill, and Franklin is like, the only way to treat him is remove the parasite. But this is where we get the explanation that they have voluntarily done it. Duncan has more of a discussion about what the Vendrizi are doing, but Franklin is like, how do I know I could trust you? So, to answer this, Duncan, in order to prove his intentions, he separates from the parasite. And that looks painful, like awful. And this is to ensure that the Vendrizi is not in control. And he's also ensuring that Marcus understands. And Franklin is like, all right, cool. I'll agree to help. But there are certain conditions. And this is where Marcus is talking to Duncan, and he's learning about what Duncan could see and what he remembers. And Duncan is like, okay, all of this stuff that we had, all these different memories. Have you seen cities that were floating 5 miles above the earth? They're like, oh, maybe there's a way that we can. And he's like, nope, we cannot rebond. It will destroy my nervous system. I have sacrificed eternity for you, my friend. I think where we're getting to in this episode, and I'm sorry, it is a little dry, but the questions of consent and coercion, like these people who were being chosen to join with these parasites, they were nobodies. And they didn't have any good prospects. They were sick. They lived in down below. They were poor. But when they connected with these parasites, they had kind of a galactic responsibility. They had such a monumental goal. They want to preserve everybody's everything and make sure that there is a memory of these people even when the universe plunges back into darkness. And Franklin and Marcus are like, nope, we're not doing none of that shit.
And that is what cults do, actually. They find people who don't have a strong connection with the world and give them the connection that they can go with them. That's the short explanation. So, I also kind of thought about with the.
Are you saying these parasites are space Mormons? Because that's kind of what they do, right? They preserve everybody's genealogy. Like, from what I understand, they are the best at it too. So,
well, and also, with them saying like, "Oh, we remember the sounds and songs from before your species was alive and stuff." Like, wouldn't that make you one of those ancient species that y'all been supposed to be looking for?
Like, close to the first ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that made me think about that. I'm just wondering. Well, and I don't know if we ever see this species ever again either.
I think they're more on the lines of what are the ones that don't fight and are all nonviolent? Who are those people, babe?
The Watchers?
No. In regular society right now, the
Midianites?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Passive Mish. We
have a friend, and she lives on the East Coast, and she is.
Yeah.
No, she's not Amish.
Yeah, she is.
I'm gonna think of the word and be upset later.
Sorry, Quaker. Sorry, you're right. She's a Quaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm over here saying knowledge. I'm doubling down on being dumb about this.
Quakers and Amish kind of have a similar aesthetic when you think about them. Like the stereotypical aesthetic. It's kind of similar.
But we've learned that they do have different types of organization, and like their religious beliefs do differ. But for us in essentially mainstream American society, we look at them as a little strange, but they're not really that strange. Not at all.
Well, we got our space Quakers, and they were a little strange.
It kept making me think of the Watcher, because they were like, we will preserve memories, but we're not going to do anything about it. So
you're going to hold on to it till the time. What time? when it's the time, because you probably have information that can help us fight this shadow, but you just go hold on to it.
Yep. The galactic library of all this crazy stuff. And none of them little worms are going to do anything. So we learned that. And we're wrapping up the show. Ivanova shares her report with Sheridan. And the way that they share their report, Sheridan looking very stern. Ivanova looks at him. She shakes her head no. And then they just walk away.
It's good talk.
Good talk. In the docking bay, Marcus is talking to Duncan, who is leaving the station because we don't need that character anymore. And he's talking.
At least he didn't die.
And his whole thing was like, yeah, all those things that I was seeing in my mind from all the memories. Well, I'm gonna go see those in real life. Peace out.
He wants to go find Howl's moving castle.
the castle in the sky,
He was describing.
Yeah. So those Drizzy Drake memories have inspired Duncan. And it made him feel special. He's no longer sick, by the way. He's not hacking up a lung because they fixed that real easy. Garibaldi then goes and asks an extremely dumb question, because where were you for the rest of the episode? He asks, if the Vendrizzi have all this knowledge, why do they keep it a secret? And honestly, I think the answer to it is like, they look like worms and y'all would probably try to kill them, especially with the way that we show memories.
Because you guys are still, capitalists, and you're gonna try to, weaponize or sell it some kind of way. And that's not the point. They're peace, love, and light, okay?
Young ones don't know as much as they think they do. I am just on this episode's reminding me of Stargate a little too much. Because now I'm thinking about the Nox.
Mm.
And it's like the young don't always understand.
I didn't get into that show. That was a little like when the show got really popular. I don't know what I was like. It ain't Star Trek, so I ain't watching it. And it was during that time.
I already memorized the movie.
It's during that time too, where there was no Star Trek for almost like a decade since Voyager. So it was during the drought. I don't know. I got over my Seinfeld.
Yeah.
When I get a chance.
Well, as a kid, I was obsessed with Egyptian culture. So I found a sci-fi with Egyptian looking stuff in it. So I loved it.
Hmm. Now I did absolutely love the movie. So, and I watched certain episodes of the TV show, but yeah. All right. Anyway, so we end off with kind of a gag. So Franklin is having a conversation about the Vendrizzi and all that stuff. Garibaldi's being a dumbass, and Franklin mentions that Marcus wanted to have a second chance with Ivanova. He just kind of like offhand mentions it, and she's like, "Oh, so that's who it is." And she starts marching off. You get like this very serious drumming music, like she's, I don't know, like she's in a cadence or whatever. She got the flowers. She finds Marcus and just throws them like, "You can keep them." So she thinks that Marcus is the one that gave her the flowers, and he has no clue what's going on. He goes, "Oh, wow, thank you. This is very nice." And she just marches off. So that's how the episode ends. Episode not very eventful. Characters don't really change much, but I guess for a sci-fi enthusiast, where we're asking questions like, would you give up your individuality for the possibility of exploring and seeing the universe in ways that you've never seen it before? And some people have made that choice. And the people who have made that choice are people who had no other prospects. I don't think it's the strongest thing, but it's a cool.
What were the options again? Like,
be able to.
I lost.
It's like be able to see the universe in ways that people have never seen it. To actually see stuff that people have never seen. But you are doing so within a symbiotic relationship.
And then the other option is
to fade into obscurity as an individual who has no prospects in life whatsoever?
I think the experience of symbiosis or even hive-mindedness, it would be a cool thing to experience.
I mean, you're basically a glorified librarian. That's a job. That job can be fulfilling.
Well, and expanding past the world that we live in, or the way that we live in.
Yeah,
because the capitalism in this universe doesn't allow people to expand, and people need to expand. Like that's why we love Star Trek, because it's about humans going out and doing what we do best, learning and expanding.
Yeah,
and expanding our knowledge or our space or whatever.
Right. All the people who did volunteer for this bonding, for this bonding, they were all people from down below. They were lurkers. They were people that nobody was going to miss anyway. And so they're getting their the opportunity to leave.
One of the people who left was a spy for the Rangers.
Yeah. But he was he was a spy or a contact, but Markus was the only one that treated him like a person. He's still from down below. He's still a lurker.
Yeah.
He's a man on the street, you know. It's like, the question is, do you want to explore the galaxy or you want to live in the hood for the rest of your life?
Oh, yeah. He was looking for something bigger than him. He didn't have anything other than the Rangers to be bigger than him. So learning that he could be like the universe's library is something bigger than the Rangers. So he went for that because that's what he wanted, to be something bigger than what this life could provide him or allow him.
Are we to believe that Garibaldi didn't know any of those people? Or do we believe that Garibaldi, even though he knows that the Rangers are there, that he doesn't know who are the contacts? It's his job.
Because they're Rangers and he's a Ranger.
I don't think he's a...
So why does he not care that the Rangers are missing?
He's not a Ranger.
I thought he worked with the Rangers.
He knows that there are Rangers. He knows Markus, but like, he's just in a conspiracy of light, you know?
Is that why he's being snippy about Markus being there? Because he's our Ranger?
Probably.
Or he's got a lot of things to be jealous about.
Or again, maybe as Markus is still social engineering Garibaldi to make him feel like he can easily dismiss Markus and therefore not expose his contacts. Yeah, I'm stretching really hard. This episode really didn't have a ton there.
I think like Garibaldi's going to be jealous for multiple reasons, and even if it's not a professional reason, it's like Markus is just better than him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he probably recognizes that, and he's feeling some type of way and doesn't know how to express his feelings or do anything. He doesn't know how to handle his feelings, except for throwing people out here
or drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. Thank you all for joining us for this edition of Voice in Hyperspace. Be sure to like, follow, and share Voices in Hyperspace in all social media. We will be getting ourselves into Blue Sky pretty soon. I see that it is growing pretty fast, but also like it's just a little bit more pleasant experience there. We don't have an X, so don't worry about that. We are on YouTube and TikTok, so be sure to like, follow, share us there, and continue the conversation. I'm Legendary Black Lion, and you can find me at Instagram or Blue Sky at Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Captain Mel Asylum. You can find me at melsrebellion.com. I'm also on Blue Sky, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Go follow her.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday and you can find me at a poker table.
All right. Well, thank y'all for joining us, and we'll see you out there. Peace out.